Listen, if you think for 1 minute, and I'm just keeping the video on the book right now, just because it's biblical and it ties into my soul and my spirit. But someone came across me earlier when I saw a young black woman basically mistreating her son, right? And she said something very peculiar to me, right? She said to him, that little boy, he had to be no more than 6, 7 years old. You act just like your father. Huh? You hear me? You act just like your father, right? And I said to myself, you know what? That brought me back. This might be some, what they call it, PTSD, what's that, post-traumatic stress syndrome, whatever you want to call it. I don't have that, but you know what? I can see why some people reflect back on certain things in their lives, like certain men that went to war back in Vietnam and Korean War and all that, Civil War and all that, because I can see that now. Because guess what? In my life, most of the women were the ones giving out the physical discipline. And that's an actual fact. I can't even remember a time where my father was laying his hands on me. Belts, whips, or switches is what we call them. Anything like that. Anything like that, right? I can remember my father maybe giving me a pluck on the head. He had big ass hands, so he had plucked me in the head or snatched me up, you know what I mean? But I never could recall my father beating me with anything. Possibly a belt one time, but other than that, nothing. My mother, my aunts, and things of that nature, right, always gave out the beatings. The mothers and the females gave out the beatings, right? Beating us. Listen, my Aunt Doris used to beat us to death in that bathroom. Take your clothes off, strip down, get you switches from outside on the bushes, and beat the shit out of you, right? But my Uncle John was more civilized with it, right? He gave you a beating with it was like a little paddle type of thing, right? And gave you a certain amount of licks, and it was more civilized, right? But my aunt beat the hell out you. My mother beat me till I was under a goddamn bed somewhere, still trying to hit me. You understand what I'm talking about? Now listen, I'm not saying this to degrade any women or be any type of woman hating, but listen, I'm gonna tell you something. Most people want to think that when young children see their fathers beating their mothers and being aggressive to towards their mothers, they want to come to the conclusion that that's what makes a young boy or a man mistreat women. I'm here to tell you that I totally disagree with that. Now check this out. If a young man or boy or girl, most likely the boys, are abused by their mothers, right? Beaten and verbally abused and beaten and everything like that, they are the ones most likely to mistreat women. Because you look at your mother as the nurturer. And by nature, you automatically think that your father is the disciplinary. You understand? But when you see your mother beating you and smacking you around and neglecting you and doing all these things, right? Those are the things that make serial killers. Those are the things that make young boys grow up to young men and older men like raping and beating on women because they see their mother in those women. You understand? They resent their mothers. And I promise you one thing, there's gotta be something. I don't know what, but there's gotta be something, right, that's gonna make other people, even these so-called psychologists and psychiatrists, all these plaques on their walls, that means nothing to me. because I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking from a wisdom standpoint, right? Things that I've experienced and seen throughout my household and also my family in the neighborhood that I grew up in. The mothers, the aunts, and the females gave out the physical discipline. They did. That's not nothing that I'm making up. This is factual. This is the goddamn truth, what I'm telling you. Young boys that grow up disrespecting women and hating women and doing weird, strange shit to women and young girls, that shit comes from an ill perspective of, well, not perspective, it comes from an ill type of relationship that they've had with their mothers or females, older females in their lives, right? That pushed them to that. And they grew up looking at women like, I hate you. You know what I mean? They look at these women like, you're my mother. And what I couldn't do to my mother, I'm going to do to you. I'm going to do it to you. Do your research and your history on what I'm saying right now. And many serial killers and rapists and people, young men and older men that did things to women, very sadistic things, right? It all starts off with them killing animals and things that they can take advantage of, that things that don't fight back, right? And that's basically what women do. No disrespect to the woman, but listen to what I'm saying. They take advantage and abuse things that can't fight back, right? This is an actual fact, and I'm saying something right now from the depth of my soul right now. This is an actual fact. I don't care if you got a plaque on your wall and trophies from you a PhD or you have a master's degree or anything like that. Most of those people have never lived this life. You understand? So when you see a young man and he disrespects women, like I'm talking about to a point where it's very harsh, right? You gotta ask yourself and tell yourself, actually, like, don't think that he got that from his father. Oh, his father must have abused his mother. No, his mother must have abused him. We have to start digging deep into this. Stop dealing with all this feminist shit, and stop fucking downplaying the role of what women do, because they do things that take advantage of things that are weaker than them. So far, like abortion, right? Many women have dumped their babies in dumpsters and left them in backyards and toilets and all of this thing. I don't want to go too deep into that. It's kind of graphic, but I'm just saying one thing. When you see a young man or a young boy like that, most likely he was mistreated by his mother. Peace.